Welcome to the show. Tonight in reviews, we are talking the season 2 finale of The Last of Us. It has been a season running at breakneck speed, and we are finally here at the last episode before we go into hibernation for the next couple of years. So let's not waste any time. We got a lot to unpack here with this one. We are diving in to Convergence. As Ellie returns and regroups with Jesse and Dina at the theater, she opens up and just completely lays it on the line there for Dina, letting her know that, well, Joel had killed Abby's father and everybody else who was in that Firefly hospital. This is not a case that random soldiers came to Jackson, killed Joel, and they're on a justified revenge mission. Instead, Joel caused his own demise. Abby was getting what she thought was justified vengeance, and now Ellie is doing the exact same thing. Now, Dina connected with Ellie. We saw that just a few episodes ago, that she opened up to Ellie about why she chose to go along with her. Besides the fact that there are emerging feelings between the both of them in this relationship, it's also that Dina had her own childhood trauma to where she couldn't save her own family from somebody that came in and killed them. And so Dina felt that this was a justified mission. And Ellie opening up to her reframes everything for her, because now this doesn't feel right. The fact that they're risking their lives for not each other, for Ellie's quest for vengeance here when Dina is pregnant with Jesse's baby, seems outlandish. That seems like a fool's errand for them to be on, and Dina absolutely realizes that. She loves Ellie, she wants to support Ellie, but it doesn't change the fact that with that reshaping of Ellie's quest, her motivations, she can't stand by and still say that this is the right move for them to make. And it's not obviously the first voice that has told Ellie that. You know, interestingly enough, if we go back to Jackson before Ellie and Dina took off, even Tommy expressed his worries and his concerns about what was ultimately going to be happening to Ellie as she took on a lot of the darkness that Joel and even Tommy kind of grew up with. And he didn't want to see that passed down to keep this cycle continually going. But Ellie keeps making these decisions that are putting her on a collision course for it to never ever end in the first place. No one's saying that Ellie can't be upset that Abby killed Joel, but again, having those different motivations takes away a large part of where everybody's stance on this is ultimately going to be. And on top of that, that puts this issue of trust between Dina and Ellie in a very different light, because Dina has been working under the understanding that Ellie has been telling her everything up front since the moment she decided to start risking her life for her. And you can see it in Dina's face that there's a serious breach of trust here. The fact that Ellie is only now opening this up to her. And again, Dina's taking the high road here and just saying, look, we just got to get back to Jackson. She could say and be doing a lot more at this point, but I have to imagine we are going to circle back to that at some point in future seasons, because Ellie has been pushing and pushing and pushing, and when she gets her way, she got it through deception. Now from there, along with Jesse showing up to save Dina and Ellie and bring them on back to Jackson, Tommy made his way out with them as well too. And we find out the reason why Tommy's not at the theater is that he got a lead on some WLF soldiers, and hoping that it was Abby and her friends, took off to try to hunt them down. So Ellie and Jesse end up going on a rescue mission to go and try to pick him up and bring him back before they all start making their way back to Jackson. And this is where another important conversation happens between Ellie and Jesse, where the two are basically going at each other for Ellie's motivations for being out there, Jesse's motivations for wanting to stay in Jackson and continue the life that he has. The fact that the two of them are directly involved with Dina and her baby, and however that dynamic is supposed to work out if they get around to Dina actually having the baby. And the fact that Ellie takes everything that's been happening, everything that's happened at Jackson, and she looks at it through a lens of folks are trying to make themselves seem like they're the better person, that they're the person in the right. But yet and still, Ellie is looked at as being the one that's doing wrong. She's looked at the one making the wrong choices for wanting to get revenge for what ultimately happened to Joel. Now, She can't reveal to Jesse the reason why she wants this revenge so bad and ultimately why it's so painful that Joel was ultimately killed. But it doesn't change the fact that Jesse does end up saying a few things that really do make sense. The fact that Ellie is being selfish with her, what she wants to do on this quest. She's put Dina in danger. She's put Dina's baby in danger. She's put Jesse in danger. And now Tommy's even in danger as well. This is so different, again, from what everybody was under the impression of. And it takes us back to Seth when they were doing that vote with the entire town. Because remember, Seth called out everybody and said that these people came to the town and they attacked and killed Joel, and they're going to do it again if nobody stopped it. But Seth didn't have that information about what Joel did. And you have to start thinking, would Seth have changed his tune as well had he had that same information? It's not that Ellie is in the wrong, but what Ellie's doing is jeopardizing so many people. And even if Jesse is coming off like an asshole here, it doesn't change the fact that a lot of what he's saying really does ring true. So ultimately, Jesse and Ellie end up splitting up. Jesse goes off to still help Tommy, while Ellie, who thinks she now has a firm location of where Abby is hiding out, makes her way over to the Seattle Aquarium, to where that's the last information she received from Nora. It's at the aquarium where Ellie ends up discovering not Abby, but instead a couple of Abby's friends that we saw with her and Jackson earlier in the season, Mel and Owen. Now, through a number of events that happen in this highly charged situation, it ultimately ends with Ellie killing both Mel and Owen. And unfortunately for Ellie, she finds out that as Mel lies there bleeding out from a gunshot wound, that Mel was pregnant. And this pretty much brings back around the conversation that Jesse and Ellie had just previously had about the things that Ellie's willing to go through in order to get the revenge, and the things that Jesse is not willing to do to put other people in danger. And the fact that through all of this, Jesse is first thinking about the safety of everybody else, and especially his kid. And Ellie claims to do that, but now the fact that Ellie has accidentally ended up killing this child in her thirst for revenge, all of this shows is that the same thing we saw where the cycle of violence from Joel and Tommy's dad that was passed down to them is still continuing to be passed down. Ellie can't break this cycle yet. She is still not learning from her mistakes. And not only are other people getting hurt from this, but now she is taking more and more hurt, which obviously is not something that she ever considered. You have to think that Ellie knew if people came along with her, they would likely end up getting killed. But the fact that her herself would take on more inner turmoil, I don't think that's something that Ellie even considered would come across this journey of hers. And with that, we have to commend Bella Ramsey on their phenomenal performance this season here on the show. It's a big ask to step into that leading role, into that spotlight after getting rid of an actor like Pedro Pascal. It's not that it's an insurmountable job to do, but there is a tall task at hand to win over the crowd. And I think Ramsey has done a great job here as Ellie, having to showcase so much emotion in every single episode. You know, in season 1, I feel that we were getting a lot more action-focused episodes, and there weren't so many heartbreaking elements every single week. But here in the second season, it seems like we're getting something that just monumentally changes something that we know about Ellie and Joel, or just about Ellie in general, every single week, every single new episode that we've gotten, and Bella Ramsey just continues to shine. I'm not worried at all about what Ramsey's going to be able to do with the back half of the story. I just hate the fact that we're going to have to wait so long to see that. Now, Tommy, Jesse, and Ellie regroup and make their way back to the theater, where their reunion is short-lived as Abby ambushes them, which results in Tommy getting injured and Jesse being killed, before one last gunshot from Abby rings out, and then we're taken back 3 days prior to see the WLF base that Abby resides in. This is pretty big because this again is going to change the format of the show heavily in its next season. It was already a big ask to take Joel, Pedro Pascal out of the picture and put everything onto Ellie and Bella Ramsey. But now moving into season 3, it's very clear that season 3 is going to focus on Kaitlyn Dever's Abby, and that even if we do see bits and pieces of the Jackson community, Joel and Ellie, whatever, they are not going to be the main focus. That ultimately leads to one of the downfalls of season 2 here. We have gotten so much prestige television over the last decade and a half at this point that we've truly lost the plot on having longer seasons. I appreciate how good so many of these shows look and the attention to detail that they put in and the fact that they really want to tell this story in long fashion. I really do get that. But when we have 2 years in between every single season, and we're not even going to get a resolution to what we just saw for likely 4 years, it is 2025. There is a good chance that we do not see a resolution to what happened in the theater until 2029, y'all. That just doesn't work at all. At all. Can you imagine thinking you have to go back 4 years to see a conclusion to something that's almost 10 years old at this point? That's ridiculous. We've got to lower the wait in between seasons. Do longer seasons for your shows. Filler episodes are more than okay, but we can't wait 4 years to get a natural conclusion to this story. That is the biggest issue that we're going to have ultimately with this show and a number of other ones. That being said, I do think that The Last of Us Season 2 accomplished adapting a very monumental task of that second game. There is a lot more to get through in that than we got into the first game. There is a lot more detail that really needs to be expanded and looked into. And I think that what we've seen thus far of about half the story, maybe a little less here, has truly been great. Now, does it match the action-packed nature of that first season? I don't know if I necessarily believe that. Like, I do feel that we were dealing with a lot more infected in season one. And the Battle of Jackson at the beginning of season two here was pretty good. But ultimately, you do kind of feel that we slipped away from a little bit more of that horror element that we were really enjoying in season one. I know as we get into Abby's story here in season three, we're going to get a little bit of that back, especially with the things that Abby's going to end up encountering. But man, such a long, long wait to ultimately get there. I'm curious though what y'all ultimately thought of this one. Let me know in the comment section because I want real feedback here on The Last of Us Season 2, okay? If you're jumping in the comment section just to hate on Bella Ramsey, keep it. I don't want to hear it. I'm not responding to that shit at all there. But let's have some conversation. Let's talk about the true highs and lows of this season. I want to hear what y'all think here. And of course, don't forget to get subscribed to my link tree because we got a lot more great horror content coming out to all of you there. You can do that by going to linktr.ee/T Scary Movie. If you get to my link tree, that's going to be access to the YouTube page for the video versions of the show, your favorite podcasting platforms for the audio-only versions of the show, my Letterboxd page for written reviews and movie rankings through the year, my TikTok page for movie news, movie premieres, and movie reviews, to my Twitch page for horror gaming, and my Fangoria shop page where you can enjoy a 20% discount off anything in the Fangoria shop. Get subscribed, folks, because we have a lot more great stuff coming out your way. Bring Her Back opens up this weekend. I got a chance to catch that a couple weeks ago. You can go check out my advanced review on my YouTube page right now. And in addition to that, this weekend we're going to be talking Succubus, and that it is time for us to get into year 4 of the After Dark Horror Fest. This is a horror festival I've been covering the last few years here on the show, and now we are jumping into year 4 back into 2010. I got 8 new films to die for that we're going to be covering here over the next couple of weeks. And don't forget, the first Wednesday of the month is next week as well, too. And y'all know what that means. We are headed back to the crypt. More coverage of Tales from the Crypt episodes. You do not want to miss that at all. Hit that subscribe button, folks. Let me know in the comment section what you want me to check out for you. My name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.